And I had almost like really, I had gone ahead with a couple of other projects as well because those looked good as well, but none of them were rural. And rural has its own advantages, especially considering the fact like the country of birth, which I have, which was India, because uh, Indians and I think Chinese nationals are really susceptible to get into the backlog as really fast. So I wanted to avoid that and wanted to get into the rural category because there was more. I think there was 20% set aside amongst all the visas. So I think to answer your question, um, I sort of decided to work with EB5AN. My experience was great because you guys were always really responsive. One of the things was that the other regional centers that I was working with, they a they had, I mean, that could be because they had been in the game for such a long time. Uh, but they had some bad projects in the sense that projects that had failed in terms of even creating the jobs or in terms of returning the money. EB5AN did not have any of those, so that was a huge green flag. The developer you guys were working with was had a really good reputation, and apart from that, the other regional centers I've worked with, they unfortunately it was almost like I had to read between the lines about what they were saying. I did not get the actual picture of what the situation was. It was almost like the projects that they had at that time were just basically bad projects which did not get enough bank loan maybe, and that's why they were looking at EB5 investors. So the health of the project was not great, and I had to dig that up and find out on my own. And the regional center was not there to help me find that. And unless I won't say that they were lying to me, but it was almost like they were not telling me the information on their own. I sort of had to ask them the right questions because I'm pretty sure they cannot really lie to their clients. So they would not tell me willingly, they would not give me the cons of the project unless I specifically asked them. So that was one of the things which definitely worked for in your favor because you guys are pretty transparent from the word go. If something was done, something was done. If it was not, you would just be pretty upfront and vocal about it that no, this is not done. That is what made me decide to go with EB5AN. I got my EAD and advanced parole within 60 days. So that was extremely lucky because I thought that people had to wait a few months. But within almost like approximately or even less than 60 days, both of us got our EAD and advanced parole. So that way, and using that, we were actually able to travel back to India for the first time after 5 years. And the return back was, well, as smooth as possible. Uh, but yeah, so since, like I mentioned, since we have our EAD and AP, that gives us pretty much the freedom to do anything that we want. It gives us it gives us like a sense of relief, a sense of permanency, that you belong in this country because we've been here for about 8 years, and you just don't know. Like, you might have to just pack up your bags. There's a lot of uncertainty surrounding your life. You cannot buy a house. You cannot make meaningful investments. You cannot switch jobs easily. You cannot travel. So all those headaches pretty much go away. And now the good thing is that since the our priority date is March of 23, that gives us, I mean, the chances of us getting backlogged are next to nil. So we're really, I mean, right now I think it's just a waiting game of when the green card application gets approved. I'm hoping in the next few months and getting our green card. And after getting the green card, that'll be a conditional one for 2 years. And after 2 years, I think 90 days before the conditional green card gets expired, you file Form I-829 to remove the conditions. Well, for starters, I would always recommend my experience to anyone because it's been, knock on wood, a successful story. So I would definitely go with a project with EB5AN and choosing Nahita as a lawyer, because I don't think, I mean, I went with it because I thought I was going with the best in the business. So that is definitely one of the recommendations which I would make. If, let's say, if you're stuck in a backlog, green card backlog like we were, if you come from a country like India or maybe even China, which is backlogged in other employment categories, or if you're just in India or any other country and you want to come to the US to basically, which promises you, the country promises you a better life, a better quality of living, and everything. If you want to move here, definitely, I think EB5 would be a really, really safe opportunity. I also know a lot of parents who are sending their kids from India, who are sending their kids to the US for higher education. And they're worried about the fact because they're worried about the fact that they might not be able to, they might go to the US, but they might not be able to settle there just because of all the uncertainty that surrounds given the H-1B visa as far as the lottery, because that is extremely difficult to get now because the odds are really bad, really poor. So there's no permanency, or there's absolutely uh, no guarantees over here. So I think going the EB5 route and getting just basically securing your kid's future who's coming here for higher education, or for your family if the whole family wants to move to the US, I think this is going forward. This is one of the best options I would recommend.